Bit of background before I start. This story happened when I was still working as a machinist back when I was 19. I started that job on 2N shift, 2 p.m. 10 p.m., but was transferred to weekend shift, 5 p.m., barely 6 months later. And the manager for weekend was an older man well called Jay. This is important for later. Since weekend was severely understaffed, we were each put in charge of multiple machines. I was in charge of running for machines that formed a big block in a corner of the factory hardly anyone ever went to. One Friday morning as I was setting up my machines, a short, rotund man with a Vernon Dursley mustache walked up behind me and tapped me on the shoulder. Surprised that I had a visitor, I pulled my head out of the machine and greeted him. "Me, okay, nice to meet you, my name," holds out my hand for him to shake, which he ignores. Yeah, I'm just looking around, trying to get a feel for the place, you know. Me, understandable, I guess. I trailed off, not really sure what he wanted and knowing I had about 20 minutes to get the machines going before I fell behind on my work order. You've got a pretty nice setup here. I wouldn't have known there was anyone working back here if I hadn't wandered over this way. I bet you have fun back here. You can just slack off all day and no one comes by to bother you. Me, sorry, but is there a point to this conversation or can I finish setting up? Yeah, I probably could have been a bit more tactful here, but I worked my ass off and had the highest job completion rate out of every shift who ran those machines, which was quite a feat, considering I was alone and the other shifts had between 2 and 4 people running those same machines. Sneers at me. You don't know who I am, do you? Me, I stare at him for a second, then laugh. No shit. Me, JS my manager. It was at this moment I realized had gotten ahead of himself and didn't even know who he was in charge of yet. No has not. I was just promoted to first shift manager. Me, no, that's not what that means, I said slowly. I'm on weekend shift, not first. So, you're not my boss. If you're weekend, then why are you running first shift's equipment? Me, this is where I've been assigned. You want specifics, you're gonna have to ask the manager. Me, no, you're not. Now, can I please get back to work? Steps into my personal space and looks up at me with a frown on his face, like it was somehow my fault that I was a foot taller than he was. Me, good for you, man, and I mean that, but that doesn't mean you're my manager. Pokes me in the chest. I'm the first shift manager. Me, looks down at his finger, then takes a step back so he isn't touching me anymore. Seemingly amused by my response, steps closer and tries to poke me again. It was at that moment that my actual manager showed up. Jay, what's going on? Up. Machine's ready to get moving. Me, not yet. I was just being introduced to here. Jay sees how irritated I look and quickly realized what was going on. Is that right? Hey, why don't you let me introduce you to the other weekend guys? Op's gotta get these machines going so he can make rate. Smirks at me. Yeah, sure, have a good day, Op. Jay leads him away and I got back to work without any more interruptions for the rest of my shift. But had apparently decided that my defiance was unacceptable and something he needed to personally correct. Over the next 5 months, every encounter with him went about the same way. He would try to give me orders, I would refuse, and he would keep pressing until I got irritated. But eventually Jay got tired of hearing him complain about me not listening to him and called me into the office for a chat. He basically told me to just suck it up and do what he asked. That it was only because I wasn't listening to him that he kept bugging me, and that if I just gave in, he would get bored eventually and leave me alone. So I begrudgingly went along with it and started doing all of the bullshit tasks he wanted me to do. These tasks included painting tables for first shift, fixing entire baskets full of parts that first shift screwed up, shoveling brass chips from a wheelbarrow to a barrel for absolutely no reason, and setting up machines for first shift. And I was expected to do those while still doing my own job. If I didn't really need the money, I would quit the moment Jay told me to go along with his bullshit. But since I didn't, only got more brazen as time went on. Things finally came to a head one Saturday morning. Someone on 3-odd shift had forgotten to lock up the machine after a sensor malfunctioned, so I went about setting it up for the next order code like I always did, completely unaware of the time bomb I had my head inside of. One of the pneumatic doors bugged out due to the faulty sensor and slammed shut on my hand. I should mention I had the machine in setup mode, which should have stopped that from happening. But that's why it's so important to lock out a machine when there's a sensor or an electrical issue in those machines. I was lucky my hand wasn't crushed. As it was, my hand basically turned into a single giant bruise that even made it down to the bones. With the help of another co-worker, I got my hand out and went and reported the accident to Jay. Company policy stated that I had to go to the hospital to have it checked out. After having the machine inspected, Jay knew I couldn't have done anything to prevent it, but I still had to go take a drug test after the hospital visit as a formality. Well, got wind that I was involved in the accident and decided now would be a great time to press his luck. He comes barging into J's office, demanding to know why I was stupid enough to put my hand inside a machine that everyone knew was messed up. That's bullshit. You just wanted an excuse to go home. I ignored him and kept my eyes focused on Jay while he finished filling out my paperwork. I always knew you were a pussy, but this is a new level even for you, Op. What, you can't stand working like a real man so you're just going home? Hey, Op, I'm talking to you. He steps around in front of me and pokes me in the chest while still ranting at me. Oh, you've done it now, he said triumphantly. You can't talk to me like that. Jay, Op, calm down, just think about what you're saying. Me, Jay, I swear to God, if he's still in this office in 3 seconds I'm going to pick up this chair and I'm not going to stop until it's broken or he is. Jay, are you going to let him talk to me like that? Jay, I'd advise you to shut the hell up and leave. Op's a big guy and I'm too old to try and stop him if he decides to follow through. Jay, you know you can't threaten people like that, Op. He'll back you up this time because he was out of line. Me, yeah, thanks, Jay. I'll call you when I leave the hospital, I said before leaving the office and driving myself 20 miles to the nearest hospital. Never tried to harass me after that day. In fact, he did his best to avoid going anywhere near me after that day. But he didn't exactly learn his lesson either, lol. I'll tell that story if anyone is interested in it.